My name's Dr. Kyle David, and I've trained thousands of students across the world, helping them to prepare for their IAPP and ISACA certification exams. One of the top questions that I get from folks that are preparing for these very rigorous exams is, how do I know when I'm ready for the exam? Really, I can only speak from personal experience, and I use two major metrics. The first one is confidence. The next one is evidence. When it comes to confidence, the number one thing that I'm thinking about as I'm preparing for an exam is, how well did I prepare? Am I proud of the effort that I have put into it? And so at a very high level, my process is more or less like this. Identify what my major course material is going to be. Perhaps it's a textbook or an online course. I will go through that material systematically. So I read every word of every page. I take very dense notes on what I feel is going to be the most important material to study. And I also pull out all of the core concepts as well. As I'm doing this, and typically chapter by chapter, I'm also creating flashcards. Flashcards are important because they're helping me to drill these concepts, these key terms, into my short-term memory. Once that material is in my short-term memory, I will use an app like either Anki or Brainscape to convert that short-term memory into long-term memory. And once a concept is in long-term memory, it will typically stay there as long as I continue to review those flashcards. The last thing that I do as far as my confidence or preparation goes, and this is directly related to the evidence portion, is I will complete as many practice questions as possible. And so, for example, if I've signed up for an online course or if I've found a textbook or whatnot, then typically there will be some practice questions that are included. And the key thing here when going through the practice questions is to, for all of the questions that you get wrong, identify what the mistake was and fill that knowledge gap. And so if there is a particular concept that I see in a question that I didn't come across in my online course, I'll create a flashcard and make sure I commit that to memory. Now, the confidence relates to the evidence because the evidence is going to come from the data from my practice questions and my flashcards. If I notice, for example, that my recall on flashcards is above 85 or 90%, then that's showing me that I'm retaining that knowledge at a really good rate. And similarly, when I'm responding to practice questions, if my scores are 75, 80% or higher, I'll generally feel pretty confident. The benchmark for IAPP and ISACA exams sits around 60%. And so if you're doing 70, 75, 80% or higher on your practice exams, then you're probably in pretty good shape. In this video, I've gone over my two main metrics that I use to indicate or really to help myself decide whether or not I'm ready to schedule and take an exam. And for me, it's all about density. So that's confidence and evidence.